Headshot.
G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder with Mags. Now today's video is a little bit of a special one. It is a special request from a long-term subscriber who has asked to remain anonymous for a very particular vehicle, one that's only featured on my channel once before when it first came out, and really doesn't pop up online at all these days. Of course, the tank we're talking about is a 75mm motor gun carriage M8, otherwise known as the M8A1 75mm GMC. This vehicle is rank 1, battle rating 2.7, and it is an extremely rare premium. It was first made available in an event that ran over the 2014-2015 New Year's period. I don't actually remember a whole lot about the details of the event itself. I don't believe it was too hard, but I recall it being time consuming, which was an issue because obviously the New Year's period is one of the busiest times of the year for just about anybody. Lots of family events and so on going on. I think that might have been part of the reason why the M8A1 shows up so rarely. It wasn't just that it was a time consuming event, it was a time consuming event at a point in time that when nobody had any. So what's so special about the M8A1? Well, if the name didn't give it away, it's got the 75mm M3 cannon from the early Sherman models. It's also got a 12.7mm machine gun as backup. Its turret rotation speed is pretty low. If you listen to the sound pretty closely, it's actually a hand crank turret. Open top, so it's fairly exposed, and armour is not even worth talking about. We're looking at 28mm thick at the front at its thickest, 28 on the sides, 25 on the rear, and around 38 on the front, 25 and rear on the turret. Yeah. Armour is not this tank's strength. Mobility, on the other hand, is. This thing will do 57 kilometers an hour if you give it a long enough run, and will comfortably cruise around at around about 35 to 38, accelerating to that speed extremely rapidly. Utilising this top speed to your advantage will allow you to cross the battlefield extremely quickly, allowing you to put the M8A1 into positions where the enemy is absolutely not expecting you. At 15.6 tonnes with a 295 horsepower engine, this thing is extremely nimble on its tracks too, with an extremely high hull traverse. You can often use the hull traverse to quickly overcome the shortcomings of the turret. It also allows you to comfortably and rapidly relocate to places where the enemy is not expecting you to pop up. Now, different people will drive this tank in different ways. My personal way of driving this vehicle isn't actually as a assault tank, but rather as a rapid supporter. With a 75mm gun at this battle rating, wherever you show up is definitely going to feel your presence when you arrive. But the high speed and extremely favourable handling allow you to cross the battlefield so rapidly that it would seem to be a waste of the vehicle's capabilities to put it into one section of the map and just push on one point. I often bounce between capture circles, between trying to force the enemy back towards their own spawn point, to dropping back into defensive positions, constantly crossing back and forth across the map to wherever I think the gun will be most useful at the time, and the tank's mobility allows for that. And you can see that in this replay. Started from sniper position on the east side of the map, moved over to the sniper positions on the west side of the map to clear out the vehicles that were there next to the spawn, and now I've rushed back to defend the cap. And this poor guy just had no idea which direction the enemies were coming from. He was being attacked from three sides at this point. But you can actually see a lot of the problem with the 75mm in these shots. Even using the lower penetration round, there's simply not enough meat in this tank to bring about the full force of the shell, so quite a lot of the shrapnel is simply over-penetrating and exiting out the other side of the vehicle, doing little to no damage. Now, artillery fire. The M8A1 has a massive allergic reaction to artillery fire. This tank is basically built on an M3 Stuart hull. It has no armour, and it's got an open top turret in order to facilitate the fitting of a 75mm in something that is so tiny. What this means is a direct strike from artillery pretty much anywhere on the top of the tank is likely to cripple it, if not outright kill it. A direct strike to the top of the turret will kill every single crew member in a single shot. So, those who already have this vehicle will know about this. If you happen to run into one of these in battle and you're facing against it, drop an artillery strike on them. Trust me, they will move, and they will move in a damn hurry to get the hell out of that area. Now we're facing Germany here, so I'm not entirely sure if that is an anti-aircraft vehicle that is firing at me at the moment, or whether or not that is, being at this battle rating, one of the 20mm autocannon armed, I think they're Panzer IIs. In either case, I want to avoid taking the hit. Everything I've said so far makes this thing sound really OP, but you got to remember that armour is basically non-existent. There is pretty much no tank, stock or not, that cannot penetrate this vehicle within 500 metres. There are very few tanks in this game of any battle rating, stock or not, that can't penetrate this vehicle within 1,000 metres. Now the angled front and with angling, you can ricochet shots from time to time, but it's something you don't want to rely on, ever. Better to use your mobility to get out of the way of the incoming fire, and let the enemy take the incoming fire instead. Now at this point, our cap circle is pretty much secure. It looks like their cap circle is currently being dealt with, so the objective now is to push the enemy team back towards their caps so they're unable to retake the circles. Even angled, the 76 punches a hole straight through the armour and does crippling damage inside. Just wait for the reload, and unfortunately was just a little bit slow. It took another hit from the front, so I missed that kill. So with that street secured, what I'm going to do is just quickly sweep over and check the area, make sure there's nothing else floating around that looks like it's out of place, and then shoot completely for the west side of the map. I want to make sure there is nothing over on the far area across the back wall of the map behind the cap circle. Make sure nobody is over there sniping, and at that point I'm going to start heading towards the enemy spawn point to make sure they're trapped in that area. This actually seems like a really good time to talk about that in particular. This is something I wanted to bring up for a really long time. Spawn camping in ground forces. Now, as most of you know, I won't strafe people out on runways. If you land on a runway, I will leave you there. I will shoot you down if you take off, but that's where I draw the line. I don't like spawn camping as a general rule either. The problem with War Thunder ground forces is you don't have a lot of choice. Gaijin in their infinite wisdom have made these maps wide. Some of them look fantastic. I love the Berlin map, I love its design, I love its appearance, but it's so small and the cap circles are so close. And this is more than just the Berlin map, by the way. This is, well, most of you play War Thunder ground forces, most of you are aware of this. This is across multiple maps. The spawn points are so close to the objective points that it's possible to turn your gun on the enemy or turn your gun to defend or attack a cap circle without ever having to move from the point of the map in which you spawned. Hell, some matches the spawn points are so close together that I have seen players from one spawn point snipe people that are in the other spawn point without anybody actually moving their tanks. While spawn camping is pretty much considered to be a dirty tactic in most games, in War Thunder ground forces, Gaijin's map designers simply made it so that it's a necessity. I mean, look at this guy here. He's only just spawned in. He's just rolled forward. I am going to kill him. I'm going to kill him because he was about 8 to 10 seconds away from being in a position where he would be able to fire directly on the cap point that belongs to his team. Or did belong to his team and now belongs to mine. He's also about the same distance away from being able to fire shells towards the A cap point, which belongs to my team, and therefore anybody who is in either of those cap zones are at risk of being destroyed if I don't deal with him. When it comes to map design in War Thunder ground forces, this is one of my big areas. The maps need to be bigger and there needs to be more space on them. Even for arcade maps, this is tiny. But with the destruction of the Panzer at the spawn, probably the most unsatisfying kill of this match, he was the last member of the enemy team, so that brings this match to a close. So let's go check out the results. So, second place for the team with 5 kills and 1 assist. Awards were Multi-Strike X2, One Shot Professional X5, Shadow Strike Streak X3 and Final Blow, 9,335 silver lines and 3,532 research points. That is base research, however I get a reduction down to 1,367 vehicle research points because I'm researching the T26E1 using a rank 1 vehicle. So, 5 kills and 1 assist isn't particularly high for a tank like this, however, it comes down to the way you drive it. As I showed in this video, I tend to drive mine very much like a support, so I'm not always putting it at the forefront of battle. I am flanking an enemy here, then I'm moving to support a cap there. I'm all over the battlefield back and forth. You can run up some incredibly high kill matches in this tank if you put it into a position right at the enemy's front and put that 75mm right to work, but as I said earlier, I feel this would be wasting one of the key advantages of the tank. And sure, you'll often get less kills playing that rapid support role rather than being full on assault in the enemy's face, but the other side of things is you tend to win a lot more battles because you create a situation where your team can't lose, or at least they've got to go well out of their way and pull some extreme levels of stupidity in order to lose. And of course the last question, is it an overpowered tank? Well, yeah, a little. It's easy enough to kill, but in competent hands you'll never get a shot on it in the first place. Anyways, ladies and gents, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, drive smart, drive safe, and I'll catch you on the battlefield.